Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Trevor, and today I just wanted to very quickly and very briefly go over some news that came out from TCL. Now, TCL you most likely know from your ventures into Sam's Club, Target, Walmart, Best Buy, as that TV manufacturer that you've seen before, but you can't really pick them outside of a crowd. They're that TV manufacturer that makes some very inexpensive Roku built-in television sets. The sets where you have the Roku voice remote coming in the box, and the TV has Roku's software built in. Well, they have ventured into the phone market recently with phones like the TCL 10 and the T10L and the TCL 10 Pro. And actually, the 10 Pro is the phone that I'm daily driving right now and have been for the past couple of weeks. I do intend to do a full review on this phone within the next couple of days. Obviously, with October being very busy with tech products, it's definitely difficult to keep all of them together and on track. But I do intend on doing a full review of this phone within the next couple of days or the next week ahead. TCL is also behind a bunch of different companies that you probably know of already and may have already used. They do license their hardware to different mobile phone manufacturers for brands like TracFone, Simple Mobile, Cricket Wireless, different things like that, just not under the TCL moniker. And then obviously there are different budget-minded phones from TCL. TCL LX is a big seller for TracFone prepaid services, at least at Target and Walmart from my experience. But they've gone into more premium phones with the 10L and the 10 Pro recently, and now they've done something pretty interesting and pretty exciting as well, even if the phone itself might not be that much of a home run. What they've done here with this new phone in the 10 series is they've made 5G affordable. And that's going to be interesting to see. So they have now come out with a phone. It's called the TCL 10 5G UW. UW is going to stand for ultra wideband. It's the true 5G signal for UW, which is usually a Verizon variant. In fact, that's Verizon's branding on different phones. Galaxy A71 UW, the OnePlus 8 UW, and the OnePlus 8 is a device I also have as well that I would like to go more in-depth over the next couple of weeks. So Verizon licenses this UW branding. And what does that mean specifically? It means that it's true 5G. So if you live in a city, a larger city, where Verizon ultra-wideband or millimeter wave 5G signal is, you'll get those gigabyte per second download speeds, those really high upload speeds from the 5G signal, provided you're right by the tower and outside, and in one of the select handful of cities that actually carry 5G service. That's millimeter wave or true 5G. So for a lot of you, and this also happened with the iPhone 12 announcement too, where people were kind of like, ooh, 5G UW on the iPhone 12, what does that mean specifically? For a lot of you, it's not going to mean too much. I personally live just outside the city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We don't have 5G millimeter wave here, and certainly not where I live because it's a suburb. But even downtown city Milwaukee does not have millimeter wave 5G yet from Verizon. So UW, millimeter wave, is borderline useless at this point unless you do take trips there or live in those areas, in which case absolutely pay for it, get the full usage out of your phone. So back to the TCL 10 5G UW. I'm just going to call it the TCL 10 5G. The price from TCL's website is $399. Now I'll give you a second to think, what other phone that came out this year in 2020 is $399? It's the iPhone SE, the new second generation SE. And the iPhone SE is kind of missing some features that this TCL 10 has, so it really brings to attention pricing. And even though I'm sure TCL did not mean for the 10 5G to be a direct competitor with the 2020 iPhone SE, they've priced it to a point where it's just going to by circumstance. So the TCL 10 5G is obviously going to be a 5G device, where the iPhone SE is lacking that. iPhone SE only goes up to high-speed LTE connectivity. They first introduced 5G with the iPhone 12 line just a couple of weeks ago. So obviously you're not going to get 5G on that iPhone SE. Um, but there are a couple things you're going to get with the SE that I will talk about in a moment after I'm finished just kind of going over the basics of the TCL 10 5G. So the TCL 10 5G, obviously going to be running Android 10 out of the box. I would have liked to see Android 11 personally. My Google Pixel 3 XL, which is already a couple years old of a device, is running Android 11. Granted, Google phones do get that software update first, but for a new phone, I really would have loved to see Android 11 from TCL here. I don't know how easy it is for them to get those updates. It just would have been nice to see. I think it definitely would have made a lot more sense for a lot of people to get this phone if it had Android 11. And with Android phones, as I tell people all the time that ask me about their devices, it's so important to get those security updates, stay up to date on your patches, whether it's a security patch or a full-blown Android update, because it's just going to keep your phone more secure and keep it more up to date and future-proof for the years to come. So Android 10, it's a great operating system. Don't get me wrong. I love Android 10. I love the features that Android 10 introduced. It's just, I would have liked to see more. I would have liked to see Android 11. And I think it really would have been aggressive from TCL to put Android 11 in a $400 device that also has 5G connectivity. As far as the phone itself, it's going to run on a Snapdragon 765 processor, which is going to be Qualcomm's newest Snapdragon 7 series. The 765 is the one with 5G connectivity. That is the one that is more equivalent to the Snapdragon 855 of a couple of years ago. So it'll be around that speed. So basically you're looking at a year and a half ago's flagship specs. So nothing blowing you out of the water or anything like that. It's not going to be as fast as an A14 Bionic from Apple or an 865G from Qualcomm, but it's definitely a very solid chip, and I'm very happy to see a high-end chip put in. The TCL 10 Pro that I daily drive, I believe only has a lower-end 7 series chip from Qualcomm. I forget exactly which one it is, but and then obviously Google, the Pixel 5, has a much lower end, a 730G processor, which is really yikes because that phone is $699. Don't tell Google that though. 6 gigs of RAM in the phone, exact same as the TCL 10 Pro, which 6 gigs of RAM, definitely more than enough for someone that's only spending under $500 on their device. Definitely a solid amount of RAM there. And then you do have 128 gigs of storage on the device. And from TCL's website that I have pulled up here, up to 101 gigabytes of that is usable. So you're losing about 27 gigs to internal memory and internal processes, whatever. If you fill up your 101 gig device as a normal user, not a power user, pretty surprising. And then the good thing about TCL phones is they do have micro SD support. The TCL 10 5G will support a micro SD card up to 256 gigs. As HD Voice will support Voice over LTE, which are both very important now in the year 2020, as we see more companies like Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T move away from these more legacy GSM and CDMA networks and move more towards HD Voice with Voice over LTE and eventually 5G connectivity. For you Verizon customers out there, this phone sounds like it will be just fine on the Verizon network, even on LTE. So of course you have the 5G connectivity from Verizon that it'll be using, but you will also have band 13 LTE, which is very, very, very important for Verizon customers because band 13 is the entire basis, the backbone of Verizon's LTE bands. AT&T and T-Mobile customers, you're all good to go as well. It'll have important bands like 2, 4, 5, 12, and 66. A lot of you probably don't know specifically what the frequency bands are, and that's completely fine. I'm going to try and do a video in a little while just talking about what those bands mean because they are very important. It's a question I get a lot in my current job, and even just out of the blue, it's a question I get as well about, is my card truly going to be compatible with this? So that'll be a future discussion. Bluetooth 5.0, USB Type-C charging, and you will also get the charger in the box. This is unlike the $399 iPhone SE that will not have the charger in the box. Different video for a different day. Different video for a different day. Aside from that, you will also have NFC capability, so your Google Pay or any other tap-to-pay features that you use or any file sharing that uses NFC will work just fine on this phone. Comes in one color. It is going to be diamond gray. I wish they came in this color more. This is Midnight Forest Green, by the way, on the TCL 10 Pro. I absolutely love this color. This is my favorite color on a smartphone right now, at least that I've held in my hand. If I had money, I would definitely be picking up an iPhone 12 Pro and putting the Pacific Blue color on that and just admiring it day in and day out. But right now, TCL 10 Pro Midnight Forest Green color is by far my favorite smartphone color, at least that I've had in the last couple of years. It's right up there with Apple's Product Red on their 8 Plus, which I thought was the best color on a phone ever. As far as authentication, you have Face Unlock. You will have a pinhole notch in the corner of the screen, and then you will also have a rear-mounted fingerprint sensor. So unlike the TCL 10 Pro, which, and I keep coming back to this because this is the closest thing we have right now to a model of this TCL 10 5G. So that's why I keep referencing the TCL 10 Pro. Unlike the TCL 10 Pro, you have a fingerprint sensor right here. That's on the screen. It's a little bit slower. The rear-mounted fingerprint sensor will just be on the back of the phone, so you can quick draw it, put your finger on there, boom, your phone is unlocked. Really important in a masked world that we live in right now, where everyone's wearing masks and Face ID just isn't, and Face Unlock, Face ID isn't really practical right now. So there's that to think about. So when I went early in the video, I said that this was being compared to the iPhone SE simply because of price. They're both $399. And they're both new 2020 phones. So what are you missing from the iPhone SE if you go with the TCL 10 5G? Essentially, you're missing that Apple feel. You miss that really nice premium feel that Apple phones have. iPhone SE, still made of glass, still a very solid phone to hold. I love the feel of iPhones in the hand. My girlfriend and my mother both bought an iPhone 11. I still stand by that is one of the best feeling phones out of a case of all time. It feels sturdy, feels secure, feels nice and heavy, which I like in a phone. I don't like super thin and super skinny phones, and I do like a phone with a heavier feel. It just feels more secure for me personally. But you are also going to be missing the ever-important phone chip. So earlier, TCL 10 5G is going to come out with a Snapdragon 765 processor. The iPhone SE 2020 has a Apple-manufactured A13 Bionic chip, which is still, to this day, a whole year after it was debuted, still one of the fastest smartphone chips out there. And they only improved on that with the A14 and the 12 series, but the A13 is just a blazingly fast chip. For a phone with only a 60 Hz refresh rate, that phone feels lightning fast when I've played with them. The iPhone 11 and the iPhone SE, lightning fast device. But as far as that, though, that's really it. I mean, now that Apple's taken out the charging brick, which is fine, I'm not going to roast Apple right now. I can see both sides of the issue, and that's something I'll explore later. But since they took that stuff out, you're really not missing any more that comes straight out of the box. And I'll point to one more thing very quick in a little bit because it's very important. But for the TCL 10 5G, you do get a much bigger screen. You are going to have a 6.53-inch display. It is going to be an IPS display, so it is not going to be OLED, and it's going to be a full HD display, so no 4K. On a phone, 4K don't really need it, in all honesty, if you ask me, because it's such a small screen, you're not going to notice it. IPS, still fine. It's not fantastic. TCL 10 Pro uses OLED. With the TCL 10L, their trimmed down version of the TCL 10 uses IPS as well. So you're going to have a very similar screen as the iPhone SE, where you're not going to have the whitest of whites and the most vibrant of color because it is an LCD display. But TCL is known for their displays. They are a TV company after all, first and foremost, and they make some very solid displays. So you have that. You also did a much, much, much bigger battery in the TCL 10 than the than the iPhone SE. The iPhone SE has an 1,825 milliamp hour battery, whereas the TCL 10 5G has a 4,500 milliamp hour battery capable of fast charging and OTG reverse charging. So all around a much better battery system in the TCL 10. Now, I will say this, with my TCL 10 Pro, I have been able to kill this phone in a day. It's very easy to kill this phone in a day if you have notifications on and if you're using it constantly with the always on display, which I always run on all my phones that have that capability. It's very easy to kill this phone in a day, and it does not charge terribly fast. Now, I don't know if I'm spoiled because the OnePlus 8 charges like 30 watts and it uses warp charge, so there's that. But TCL just doesn't charge that fast. Now, the iPhone SE definitely will not charge that fast. Even with USB-C to Lightning, it won't charge that fast. It's not a battery that's capable of it, at least of super high-speed fast charging. So, kind of a disappointment on both ends there, but 4,500 milliamp hours, definitely huge. That's a day-long phone if you're not, a complete ass like me and just run full brightness, full features, and different things like that. Now, here's the main thing. You also did a micro SD card with the TCL 10 5G, by the way. I don't know how many people actually use those anymore, because unless you are a power user, it's going to be really tough to fill up 128 gigs of storage. There's still phones that I have that are 64 gigs, and I've filled up 32. So, I consider myself a pretty heavy user, but I know there's people that use them for business things and different things like that, where they will use it a lot more and will have a need for more storage. So, good on TCL for at least including that option. Even if it might not be used by someone like myself, it's really cool that they have that option. Now, the biggest issue for me with Android OEMs and iPhone is security updates. It's the elephant in the room for all Androids. We gotta talk about it really quick. TCL 10 5G, obviously coming out with Android 10, which is a year-old processor, which is a year-old operating system at this point, whereas iPhone SE will be updated to 2025 for sure, through 5 years of updates from Apple. It will be updated through 2025. We have no idea when the TCL 10 series will stop getting updates. And that, to me, is worrying because, for Android phones, it is so important to have your phone up to date constantly and to have those security patches. And for TCL to not offer a commitment to Android 12 or to software patches past Android 11 is a bit worrying to me. If I'm paying $399 for a phone, I would like it to last me for a little while, at least if I'm in the mind of most consumers. But if you're not going to make the commitments to at least 3 years of software updates, I'm kind of wondering, okay, is this even a phone I should consider looking at? To me, software updates are so important. They're so terribly important, especially with phones that, yes, are manufactured in China. Not even going to open up that can of worms right now, but yes, this is a Chinese manufactured phone. There's a lot of buzzwords and a lot of fear around Chinese manufactured phones with Huawei, Xiaomi, and even different brands like OnePlus, the whole TikTok debacle, different things like that. There's a lot of fear over it, so I feel like you could really make some strides in trustworthiness in at the very least, committing to software updates and security patches for 3 years. So I don't even know if this phone will get... My TCL 10 Pro, I don't know when this phone will stop receiving updates. They told me Android 11. I don't know if it will get anything past Android 11, or if they're going to say, yep, we have Android 11, you're good now. But that's the trade-off, I guess, with some of these newer manufacturers for phones making their own premium devices, is that TCL doesn't have that much market share, so maybe they don't know if they want to really commit to it for the time being. It costs money to get software updates for these companies, so I can understand where they're coming from. Personally, as a consumer and as an enthusiast in the industry, I would just really hope to see more commitment from these Android OEMs to putting software updates in there. But again, that's the trade-off for having a brand new or a newer manufacturer in the phone market. So that's pretty much it. Keep a lookout for some more videos coming out within the next couple of weeks and months ahead. Obviously, it's my first one. Let me know how I did. I'm really looking forward to the feedback, both positive and negative, seeing how I can grow as a channel for you guys. And that's pretty much it. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new around here, do please subscribe, give the video a like and a share. A lot more is going to be coming out very soon. Different things like full reviews and just some more general commentary on the industry itself. So otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you stick around for more. And as always, my name is Trevor. Any questions, just leave them down in the comments. And I will see you guys later in the next video. Thanks, guys.